Today I thought I would talk about the first apartment I ever had. Um, if you don't know, I hate landlords. I feel like most human beings hate landlords, to be honest with you, just like by default. Like it may not be a conscious thing, but I think if you ask people, they would probably naturally come to that conclusion. So, when I moved to this town for college, I knew that I was going to have to get an apartment, but I had to stay in the university dorms for the first year. But as soon as I moved out of those dorms, I had to get an apartment, and me being cheap, I decided I would try to get like the cheapest apartment possible with my girlfriend so that we could save the most amount of money. And I know that you'll probably be like, well, that's your fault, like you went for the cheapest apartment. Trust me, that does not justify the tomfoolery. Okay, so we moved in, and this apartment actually isn't really like, I mean, it's an apartment, but like only in the loosest sense of the word. It has technically like three rooms, right? Like it has the kitchen, the living room, the bedroom, and the bathroom. So I guess like four if you want to be generous. But the bathroom was like 5 feet by 5 feet. Like it was like an itty bitty little like a porta potty probably would have been better, low key. Um, and after we moved in, it became very apparent very quickly that this was just not your standard like apartment living situation. So this was a house that they had split into apartments. So the guy that lived on the other half of our floor was a felon, which, no disrespect, there's nothing wrong with being a felon, like everybody comes from different situations. Um, but this guy was not of sound mind. I believe he said he had killed somebody, and I think it got ruled as like manslaughter or something. I don't really know what he was out on. I just know that he was like a cook somewhere. And when he wasn't working, which wasn't often, I don't know if he just got like the bare minimum amount of hours or what, but when he wasn't working, he was just like always drunk, which, I mean, why not? Whatever. Um, but like he was like always incoherently drunk, right? And the problem is, you would always hope, like, okay, so he always like hung out outside and just like sat and drank with his buddies all day. And like, again, dope. Like that sounds so fun. Like, but we would come home from like work, and he would always want to like talk and like stop and have conversations. But the problem is, these are like drunk person conversations, right? So they amount to like the same sentence basically rehashed over and over and over again. And nothing he ever said made any sense. Like he would just start talking about like the government, and like I don't even know. Like I genuinely, like, I've blocked most of it out of my memory because he was just like crazy. But very quickly, like, things began to de-evolve. So like one day while I was at work, my girlfriend walked across the street to get like something from like the corner store across the street. And she left the store. She left the store, and a homeless guy followed her back to our apartment, and then proceeded to try to like straight up just walk into our house with her, which, like, and then I think when she called the police, they were basically like, oh, well, just don't let him in. Like, he's, like, pulling on the door handle and stuff. He's trying to come in. On top of, like, this generally being a sketchy area full of, like, sketchy characters. Like, there's always, like, somebody trying to sell you something. Always somebody, like, trying to follow you. Always somebody, like, there were always people banging on our door asking for the guy that lived in the apartment behind us, thinking that he lived in our apartment. And then we would come to the door and they would, like, insist that they had to come into our apartment. So that was always super sketchy. Love it. We also had mice. If you've ever lived with rodents, you know. Not ideal. And we were able to mostly, get it figured out. I had to get, like, very adept at trapping and releasing and getting rid of mice. Unfortunately, some mice did die. I hate to say it, but it genuinely, with the amount of mice we had, was the only solution. Because at the end of the day, if you let them out outside, they're just going to come back in. So, one day my girlfriend's car gets broken into. And this was back when she worked at... Doesn't really matter, she worked at Walmart. Tell me why the person that broke into her car stole her Walmart vest. Bitch, that is not high fashion. What are you doing with a Walmart vest? That's crazy. That is crackhead shit. They took her Walmart vest, like, one of her gloves. Oh, yeah, and then they took her radio, which, like, mind you, this is just, like, it's like a Honda Civic radio. Like, it's not worth anything. And then they threw everything in her glove compartment all over the grounds, like her title and stuff. They just, like, threw, and, like, the insurance paperwork all over the ground. So we had to play, like, this game of 52 pickup, picking up all of this, like, private, like, information, like, documents with addresses and names and phone numbers on it. And the cop gets there, because we called the cops, right? Obviously, because we have to file a report, like, things were stolen. And the cop gets there, and again, like, he's basically just like, oh, there's really nothing we can do since the car was already broken into. And it's like, whatever, man. So we do the report. Nothing ever comes of it, obviously. We never get any of the stuff back. The radio's gone. And so, like, after that, of course, then we're, like, super paranoid all the time. Neither of us want to leave our cars in this parking lot. Because, just, like, once something you own or live in gets broken into, you're just, like, sketched out forever. It's such an invasion of privacy, and, like, it genuinely will mess with your mental state. Then at some point, and this is, like, just a side story, but I just think it's funny. We live in this tiny ass apartment, and we used to have this friend, and he, like, let's just say his living situation changed, and he's like, I need somewhere to stay for a month. So I get it in my dumb little brain that we're gonna sublet our tiny ass apartment to this guy. So it's literally me, my girlfriend, and then this basically random dude. Which, if you ever see this, I'm sorry I'm calling you random, but, like, let's face the facts. Like, how well did we actually know you? That was kind of crazy. And he stayed there for a month, and it's literally, like, there's no privacy, there's no space. Like, it was so silly. I mean, but, like, hey, at least rent was dirt cheap that month, obviously, so that was cool, I guess. One morning we wake up, and we don't have hot water. And we're like, that's not good. And so we start calling our landlord and stuff, and they basically are just ignoring us. And we're like, okay, well, that's a problem. And so finally we reach out and we start citing, like, laws, right? Because obviously as a tenant you have rights. If you are ever in a situation with your apartment that seems sketchy or fishy or unsafe, or even is just questionable, I highly advise that you make sure that you read up on like your local laws and your renter's rights, because there is likely something that you can do about it. Even if it doesn't entirely fix the situation, it's also just good to be educated on what your rights are as a renter, because I mean, you're paying an awful lot of money. Just know your worth, But we literally go like 5 days without water. Hot water. We have water. We don't have hot water. And so we're like boiling water to take a bath and like washing dishes in cold water. And it sucks. Everything sucks. And it's cold. It's like late fall, early winter. Come to find out, crackheads broke into our basement and stripped our hot water heater for copper. In what world is that a problem that you have? That a crackhead breaks into your basement? Like, they busted the door down. The door was busted the fuck down. And they stripped our hot water heater for copper. And it took a week and a half for our landlords to not only acquire, but install a hot water heater. So the whole time we had a radiator. That was how our house was heated, was a radiator. So that whole time we went without heat, hot water, like... But hey, it was $5.90 a month. So, then after that happens, you might be thinking, like, okay, like, what else? Like, I mean, fine. Like, sure, whatever. My girlfriend goes on a trip. And so it's just me at the house. And, I'm chill. I'm chilling. I'm cool. And I'm like cleaning, and I notice that there's these like bugs on the ceiling, but they're not like bugs, like they're not like scary bugs. They're just like little bugs. Like they kind of look like almost like flies. And so I'm like, okay, well maybe we just have like a couple flies. So I like vacuum them up, right? I vacuum them up, and like I kill a couple of them, and then I throw them away. Like, and I think that's the end of it. The next morning, I wake up at probably 4:30 in the morning, and our fire alarm goes off. So I jump out of bed and I start freaking out, trying to get it to shut off, like trying to find the source of the fire. There's no fire, there's no smoke, and it's not a carbon monoxide detector, because we have one of those too, and that's not going off. So finally, I can't get this thing to shut off, so my solution is to basically rip it off of our ceiling. And when I rip it off of our ceiling, I take it down, and a torrent of these bugs comes pouring out of our fucking smoke alarm. It turns out there were so many bugs, it was smothering, like, the thing that detects the air. And no air was getting into it, so it was full of, like, carbon monoxide, I guess, because there was no airflow. So it set the alarm off, because there were so many bugs in it. Imagine being woken up by a fire alarm at 4:30 in the morning, and then when you finally find out you're not in danger, you rip it off the ceiling, and it's full of bugs. And the bugs start crawling all over you. Nightmare shit. Literally just like nightmare. Like what? So then, after like, and I have like anxiety and like a panic disorder. So this triggers basically a panic attack that lasts like 2 hours. But finally, around like almost 7 a.m., I managed to fall back asleep. And then about an hour later, I wake up. And I feel something weird. Like, and I'm like, what is that? And I like try to brush it off. There were bugs in my ear. There were fucking bugs in my ear. So I wake up and I literally freaked out and I rolled out of bed, landed on my face. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I like start shaking my head. The bug gets out of my ear. So I clean up and like I get the bugs out of the bed. There's like 3 or 4 of them. It actually wasn't a lot. It was weird. I think it was just because the fire alarm happened to be like kind of next, like adjacent to where I laid in bed, which like I should have thought of that. So it's like kind of uneventful after that though, right? Like, I don't know, compared to the incident with the fire alarm, everything is uneventful after that. So things like quiet down and my girlfriend gets back, and then like a week later we're watching like a show and I get up and I'm like, oh, I have to go somewhere, right? Like I had a commitment that night. And so I get up out of bed and I turn on the light, and horror of fucking horrors, the entire back wall of our room is covered in millions of the exact bugs that were climbing out of our ceiling that like a week ago. They were termites. We had a fucking termite infestation. The whole room was swarming with them. I didn't even know what the fuck a termite looked like before that. I just thought they were like little ants or like flies or some shit. No, they were termites. Anyways, on to some honorable mentions. One time the cops came banging on our front door. And they were like, oh, we're looking for this person. And we were like, yeah, he's not here. He's in the apartment behind us. And they were like, how do we know? It wasn't me. My girlfriend was like, he's not in this apartment. This is our apartment. Like, he doesn't live here. He lives in the one behind us. And they're like, there's like people out front like searching with flashlights for this guy. Like, I don't know what he did, but they were looking for him. So I hear all this commotion, and I actually had just gotten out of the shower. I was in the bathroom. And it's going on for like way too long. And I'm like hiding in the bathroom because I'm like, you know, I have to come out and like get dressed and stuff. I didn't bring any clothes in because like we live alone, so I wasn't that worried about it. I normally just like come out and change. And so finally though, after like 15 minutes of like my girlfriend and this cop like arguing and talking, I'm like, you know what? This is annoying. So I walk out of the bathroom butt ass naked, and the cop is still standing in our living room, and I'm like, can I help you? And he's like, can you put some clothes on? And I'm like, no. Can you leave? Like, what do you need? Seriously. And yeah, basically I just like nakeded the cop out of my house. Like, I don't know. I just stood there like butt booty ass naked and made it awkward until he left. So I don't know if they found the guy. I don't really give a fuck. Honorable mention 2. One time this giant bag of garbage just showed up on our front doorstep. Well, not our front doorstep. We had like a porch, and it just showed up on our porch, and it was like, you know those industrial, like, 50-gallon trash bags that construction sites use? Well, it was one of those, and, it was just, like, full of stuff. And so, like, it sat there for, like, 2 or 3 days, and I just kind of ignored it, because I was like, okay, this probably belongs to somebody. But then after, like, 3 days, I was like, okay, well, like, finders keepers. So I dug through it, and I found, like, a DVD player, like, a bunch of, like, dishes, bottle rockets. Yeah, there were like fireworks in there. I took those. Like a lighter. I don't know, just like a bunch of shit. Like, it was just like stuff. I don't even remember all of what I got, but I remember I took like a box worth of crap out of there and then just like left the rest of it and then told the landlord to clean it up because I was like, this is not my problem. I didn't put that there. And my final honorable mention about my first apartment. We weren't allowed to have any pets in this apartment. It was a pet-free lease. But I mean, it was also a drug-free lease, and crackheads literally lived there. So like, who knows how much that actually mattered, right? But towards the end, I was so like fed up with our landlord, and I wanted a pet so bad. So I went out. We like actually me and my girlfriend drove across town to like the like a humane society, right? And we adopted a pigeon, which like, I mean, I don't know. Like, yeah, you're not supposed to have pets, but like, does a pigeon really count as a pet? Like, at the end of the day, a pigeon is more of a friend, like, not really a pet. Like, that's my little buddy. So, yeah, her name is Goose, and she's like evil, actually. She's like a total bitch. But it's okay, I love her. So yeah, towards the end of our lease, I was so mad, I just like went and adopted a pigeon, and we still have her. So I don't know, if you're mad at your landlord, maybe go adopt a pigeon or something. I don't know, don't do that actually, because that like puts your lease in jeopardy. But we already knew we were moving out, because I mean, I don't know, when all of that stuff happens to you, you probably just should start looking for a new apartment. But like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I don't even know how to best summarize it. Those are just a few of the like core events that happened at our first apartment. It was just a shit show. Honestly, I feel like everybody has kind of like a bad apartment at some point for the most part, unless you're like super lucky. But I hope to God it's not that bad, because like, I don't know. Having crackheads in your basement is not cool. Having termites is not cool. I don't know. I guess if you're seeing this and you have any crazy apartment experiences, let me know in the comments. Because I'd be curious to know if anybody else had like similar crazy crap happen to them. Like, that was just our first apartment, and now we're like in this like normal kind of nice, like, I don't know, I mean, like, it's nothing special, but compared to that, like, this may as well be like a mansion, so I don't know, tell me about your terrible apartment experiences.